You know, when you type something into a search bar, you probably expect a pretty neutral, objective answer, right? But what if the very code delivering your results is actually built on a foundation of societal bias? Well, today, we are diving deep into Sophia Omunja Noble's incredible book, Algorithms of Oppression, to see exactly how search engines can end up reinforcing things like racism and sexism.
And that really is the core question Noble forces us to look at. We tend to think of search engines as these huge, impartial libraries in the cloud, but her work just completely challenges that assumption. Are they just reflecting society back at us, or are they actively shaping it?
So, this powerful phrase, it comes directly from Noble's own experience. Her entire research journey was actually kicked off by something pretty shocking and personal. She was just doing some research for her kids, and she Googled black girls. What she found wasn't pictures of little girls playing or learning. No, the page was just dominated by pornography and these incredibly negative stereotypes.
Okay, so that first disturbing search, it wasn't just some weird, isolated incident. It was actually the rabbit hole that led to a much bigger investigation, and it revealed a really deep-seated problem in the very architecture of how we get our information.
And here's Noble's most crucial point. These biased, harmful search results, they aren't accidents. They're not bugs in the code. She argues they are a structural feature of the system, the logical outcome of a system that was designed with very specific commercial values and priorities in mind.
And this brings us right to the book's central concept, algorithmic oppression. It's this idea that automated systems don't just reflect the biases that are already out there in society. They can actually amplify them, make them worse, and create totally new kinds of discrimination, burying them deep inside the digital tools we rely on every single day.
To help us understand this better, Noble uses the term technological redlining. Think about it. Just like discriminatory practices in banking and housing historically blocked marginalized communities from getting resources, she argues that today's algorithms can create these digital red lines, systematically putting certain groups at a disadvantage and limiting what they can see and do online.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theoretical problem. The consequences are very real, they're tangible, and they have a serious impact in the real world, as we're about to see.
So let's go back to Noble's original search because the problem is just so clear. The results for black girls, and also Latinas and Asian girls, were consistently sexualized and stereotyped. And this wasn't just offensive. She calls it a form of symbolic annihilation, happening in a space that we think of as a public utility.
And this is where it gets absolutely terrifying. Noble details how Dylan Roof, the white supremacist who committed the Charleston church shooting, was radicalized. It started with a search for black-on-white crime. He wasn't led to credible data. Instead, Google's algorithm served up extremist websites as the top results, which fueled the racist ideology that led directly to mass murder.
This quote just captures the core of the issue perfectly. Search algorithms don't exist in a vacuum. They're designed by people, they operate within our society, and ultimately, they end up reflecting and amplifying that society's most dominant views, its prejudices, and its power structures.
So, if they aren't neutral, then we have to ask the big question. Why? Why does this happen? And the answer isn't just about accidental bias. It's deeply connected to the core business model of search engines. And here we have the central myth that most of us believe about search. We see them as public libraries, neutral places that organize information. But the reality, as Noble argues, is that they are fundamentally advertising platforms. Their main goal isn't to inform you, it's to sell visibility to advertisers.
At the end of the day, that super complex code is optimized for profit, not for truth. It's a system designed to serve commercial interests first, and everything else comes second.
So, okay, here's how it all connects. Content that taps into existing biases, stuff that's sensational, stereotypical, or even extremist. That kind of content often gets a lot of clicks and engagement. The profit-driven algorithm, along with SEO tricks, rewards this stuff with higher rankings. That makes it more visible and creates this vicious cycle that just amplifies harm.
So you see, this isn't just about search results. This is about who controls our access to knowledge and what the future of public information is going to look like. The stakes are incredibly high. When just a handful of private, for-profit corporations become the gatekeepers of public information, that poses a direct threat to democracy. They get to decide what we see, what we know, and what we believe, all without any real public oversight or accountability. Now, Noble doesn't just diagnose the problem. She actually proposes solutions, and she calls for big structural changes, breaking up the tech monopolies, putting real government regulation in place, funding public alternatives to commercial search, and demanding that these companies open up their black box algorithms so we can see what's going on.
And that brings us to the bigger picture. This quote is such a powerful reminder that the issues of bias in search are really just the tip of the iceberg. As AI gets more and more integrated into every part of our lives, from hiring and healthcare to the justice system, this fight for algorithmic fairness is going to become one of the defining human rights struggles of our time.
And that leaves us with this final, crucial question. If these automated systems have so much power over our reality, we really can't afford to just be passive consumers. We have to ask, who is writing the code? Whose values are being embedded in it? And ultimately, who is in control?